out there in the YouTube audience. It's a big day today over at Futsal News because we've got some very special guests from the FUTSALSA pod. So with Luke and I today is Henrique and Vitor. They are the masterminds behind what is soon to be the hottest futsal podcast on Spotify. So I wanted to introduce you guys to them. We've been having a great chat outside of their podcast, and two young guys with a lot of good energy for the sport of futsal and bringing a lot of education, but also a lot of fun to the sport. And so we thought we'd get on pretty good. So we had to get together and do some kind of collaboration. So I'm going to kick it over to Henrique to start and introduce yourself, a bit of your background, and we'll start the chat.
Yeah, hello everyone. So don't mind the British accent. It's just I can't help it now. I've been living here for too long. So I'm Henrique. I've been playing futsal since I was 12 years old. Recently discovered that I'm actually probably better at talking than playing futsal. So that's why we kind of transitioned into the podcast. And so I've been involved in English futsal since I could basically kick a ball, and now we've done a podcast talking about the NFS Tier 1, talking about all the ins and outs, and it's kind of semi-serious, kind of a bit of a laugh, and we just me and Vitor just get together on a Wednesday, Tuesday evening and just talk about futsal, which is like the best part of our week usually.
That's awesome. Yeah. Vitor, you mind doing a quick introduction?
Yeah. So my name is Vitor. Like I said, like Henrique said, got the British accent, even though we have different, not an English name, would you say, but we're both born and raised here. So quite different to Henrique. I started playing futsal when I was like 16. I went down the football route, then transitioned to the futsal route. So it's a little bit different there. But I think most English futsal players also went down that route as well. They started playing football, then went to futsal. And been playing futsal since I was 16. Been playing in goal, so I bring a bit of different perspective there, a bit different insight. Yeah, and every time I started playing, I loved it and just want to get playing more and more and more. That's why we decided to do the podcast. I think we decided to do it this summer. I think we decided to do it in Norway as well when we were on a holiday. Out of nowhere, we just let's do it, and then we started doing it, and then now we're here. So, yeah,
that is awesome. Well, one of the things I really like about what you guys do is you kind of start off with a bit of a game, loosen everybody up while they're listening. So I 100% stole your guys' idea. So I will give you full credit for this. But since we're on YouTube, I thought I'd bring some visuals. And these are all clip art pictures because, I didn't want to ruin any of our chances at a sponsorship later when we hit it big. So what I did, I'm gonna hold up a picture of something. All right. And then you guys are going to, so Henrique and Vitor, you're going to tell me the American word for it. And Luke, and just so you guys know, Luke will attest to this. I did not warn him I was doing this at all. Okay. So he has no idea what I'm about to show anybody here. I think I start off with a couple easy ones and then we'll ramp it up towards the end. But Vitor, you feeling brave? You want to kick us off?
Yes, I'll start.
Yeah, all right. We're gonna start with you. Okay, we'll have you guys rotate back and forth against Luke, and we'll keep score here and see see if America wins or if England wins at the end of it. What could go wrong? Okay, so easy one I think to start. Here we go. What would an American call that?
An American, I know an English person call this a telephone. I'm guessing, but an American, I'm not too sure. Would it be the same thing?
Close. I'm thinking of this. So that telephone would be more like a landline.
Henrique, is this easy? I feel like he knows this. I don't know. Telephone. I want to go with phone. Just phone.
Phone? Not quite. I don't know. I don't know if I can accept that. What we would call it a cell phone.
Oh, cell. Okay.
Oh, cell phone.
Yeah.
Henrique, did you know that?
Stinker. Yeah, of course, mate.
Should have started with Henrique. You guys would have been up right off the rip.
Oh, God. So bad.
Now Luke, how would they call this?
Telly.
Not for this.
I don't know. The mobile. No, it's the mobile. It's the mobile.
There you go. Yeah, mobile. Yes. Okay. All right. So there we go. That's the first round. We'll give you that one. And then okay,
I
here we
forgot
go.
the mobile. I forgot the telly is the one like a land. Wouldn't that be the landline?
Yeah, the landline.
The landline. Yeah,
sorry.
exactly. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so Enrique, it's time to get you back in this. You ready?
Yeah,
I
go on.
know. Tough. All
Sorry.
right, here we go. Again, no sponsors.
This is the easy one. This is the
Okay.
easy one. You should know this.
This is you call it fries, right? Fries.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And Luke, okay, what are they calling this over there?
I got this one. Chips.
Okay, yeah, I should have done that one first.
Right.
That was the easier one.
You
All
gave
right.
him an easy one there.
Yeah, that's right. All right. That's all right. I think these next couple ones will be all right. All right, V, it's back to you, buddy. What are we calling this over here? Oh.
He's having a stinker. Go on, bro.
I don't know.
Oh, you know this one. I know you do.
It's because I see it, and I can only think of what we call it over here. I can't think how,
Well, it's
how
only
would you
natural.
Of course. Come on, bro. You got
I
this.
actually can't think of anything.
Enrique, you want to go in for the save on this one? Is he phoned a friend?
Yeah. Do you want to phone me in, bro? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I can't think
I
of
believe this is called pants.
Pants. That's correct.
Yeah.
Pants.
pants.
If you really want to get to buy neck of the woods, you got really.
Oh no, I froze.
Oh,
I'm good.
Luke, are you-
I'll drop out and I'll come back in.
all right. Luke's having a technical difficulty, but he's gonna jump back in. And then he's probably googling this right now. It's probably what's happening. We've already got some
Oh,
controversy.
it's cheating.
That's amazing.
Oh man. Yeah. So you guys are doing fine.
Yeah. I mean, are we gonna let him? Yeah, we're gonna let Luke. Luke, you definitely cheated, didn't you? 100%.
Yeah. You.
What? Wait.
That was a plan. He just googled it real quick on his phone.
No. I've been having this all morning. I promise. I got this one though. Trousers.
All right, there we go. I don't know, a little suspicious though.
Ooh.
If this
Getting
is
called out.
can't be an
Getting
asterisk
called out.
on the end of it. I don't know. All right, it's a close one. All right, Enrique, tell me what I would call it.
I believe this is a sweatshirt.
Yes,
Yeah,
sweater,
okay.
sweatshirt, and Luke, come on, buddy. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I actually don't think even Vitor knows what this is called, so don't worry about it.
Wait, what you guys would call it?
I thought we would call it a sweatshirt. No,
So there you go.
I thought we would call it a sweatshirt.
There it is. Oh boy.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Oh no.
This might be a tough one.
I have no idea.
That's all right.
A
That's all right.
cardigan? I don't know.
No. So this is a jumper.
A jumper.
Yes,
I had
a
no clue.
jumper.
That wasn't even
That-
close. Wasn't
So
even
that tied it
close.
up. And you got some tough ones coming up, Luke. So this is, I think we got one more easy one and then a couple of goofy ones. So, all right.
Come on, you got this one.
All right.
I'm trying to get just one.
All
I'll
right.
get
All right.
one.
We'll throw it back to me. We'll give him the first crack and then Enrique could
Yeah.
come in if he needs to.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. What do you think,
Oh.
V?
I know this one. Trash can.
That's right. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yes, got the one.
Oh, Luke, you're getting called out in the chat. Molly
Oh,
says,
no.
haven't you ever seen Harry Potter? It's a jumper.
Oh no. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I don't
Oh,
like Harry
even worse.
Potter.
I'll tell you what. Everything that I'm saying is all down to High School Musical and Troy Bolton. So thank God for Zac Efron.
That's true. We got some.
I got this one though.
Yeah.
That's the bin, the trash bin.
That is the bin. Okay. All right. Luke's
Yeah.
staying in it. It's still tied up. You're gonna hate my tiebreaker if it comes down to it, Luke. I'm sorry ahead of time, but all right. Now this one, I watch. This is kind of my guilty pleasure. I watch the Great British Bake Off on Netflix. All right. So I know the answer to this, but
Decent.
all right, V. What do you think this is in America?
In America.
What do we call it? I think I.
I wish I could help this
I
rabbit.
thought it would be the
Like, what
same.
is this?
Nah. I reckon.
Enrique, do you know?
I think is it a cookie?
It is a cookie. Yes. There you go.
Yeah. Come
And then
on.
Luke.
What?
This
Oh,
one
I know
might throw
what
you
it
off. I don't know, man.
Is it a biscuit?
It is a biscuit. Yes. Well done. Well done.
Okay.
We got fives all around. All right. This is the tough one, Luke. Okay. So if you stay in on this one, in fact, I'll start with you on this one. We'll
All
flip it We'll make the Americans go first this time. All right.
Hey.
Okay. All right.
The Yanks.
There you go. Even better.
Oh, I got this one. It's a
do you?
lorry.
It's a lorry. Yes. Okay. So, fellas, what are we calling this in America?
A truck.
More specific?
Hold on.
There's actually
you-
two answers to this.
Oh, we lost
The-
your audio
the
again,
trucks-
So I
Vito.
think V's audio might be a little.
I'm gonna go for a delivery truck. I'm not sure.
Okay, so that's good too. We'll give it to you, but
It's
we
my
would
audio
call
back.
Don't give it to me. Don't give it to me. You
Okay,
have to
all
be
right.
harsh on
I was looking for semi truck.
a semi truck. That is not a thing.
Yeah.
That is made up.
No, it's not. It's
No,
real.
no
It's real. I
way.
swear.
It just looks like a normal truck.
I sell them
Anyway.
for a living, so I had to throw that in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Semi truck.
fine,
No, I
there you
swear it's real. I swear.
That's funny.
All right. Here's the chance to come back.
Is my audio back or?
Yeah, you're good.
You're back, feed. That sounds good, man. All right, Vitor, what do you think here? I'm talking about what's inside it.
Oh, okay.
What's inside it?
Yeah, what's
Soda.
inside of this thing? Soda?
Soda?
Yeah, okay, yep,
Yeah,
there it
yeah,
is. Soda. See, now he's on a roll. This is good.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have got that as well. Well done, bro. I'm not
Yeah, nicely
that's
done.
That's what I was thinking.
All right, Luke.
Oh no.
Hmm.
Oh no. They call
That's
it.
just-
They call it.
It's hard enough because in America it's called like 20 different things, but
I know.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking of is all the things we call it. I don't know. I bubbly. I don't know.
Bubbly.
I don't know. I was thinking fizzy pop, right, guys? Is that fizzy?
Fizzy drink.
Fizzy
We'll
drink.
call it
Okay,
a
fizzy
fizzy
drink.
drink.
Yeah.
No,
Fizzy
I wasn't
drink.
even close.
Fizzy drink.
I
Even the
wasn't
host
even
got it wrong.
close.
That's terrible.
I wasn't even
All
close.
right. So hey, you guys, Luke's gonna say that he threw it to you guys because you're guests, but the victors are Salsa Pod.
Let's go.
I blew
Our
it.
first
nicely
win of the
done.
season.
Oh no.
Yeah, I saw those. We saw those predictions you guys were in. We're going so well, so we thought we'd get through an easy one.
Oh, they saw that, no.
I will say this now for a little exclusive. It is me doing the predictions. Vitor doesn't
Yeah, so-
have too much to say about it.
Oh no!
So,
So
if
I
you're
have
gonna
been
blame
having a
someone,
stinker.
blame him. Blame him.
Blame
Yeah.
him. Oh boy. Jeez. No, hey, it's been a crazy season. You guys have had a lot to cover. I mean, last week especially. I think the only game I didn't catch last week was the York game.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I caught the other three,
Mhm.
and man, that Bloomsbury game was really good. Little crazy and controversial at the end, maybe.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Manchester hanging on. I mean, that beating the powerhouse. What's
Yeah.
their name again, Vitor? The team in London.
I know I'm gonna say it wrong, though, so I'm gonna attempt to say it, but I have Elsia. That's how I've been saying it.
Yeah, how did
And he's
you?
gonna say it's wrong, but- No, he said it's wrong, but I should know. I played there before, so but
Did you?
yeah, but it's Helvetia.
There you go, London Hill. Yeah, I was really surprised by that. The way they were just kind of running roughshod on everybody up to the week. I thought they were going to handle business. They had a lot of close calls, but
Mhm.
what
Yeah,
do you
I
guys? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, yeah. No, I mean with Helvetia, like historically, like they've won like how many championships in a row? Like God knows how many.
Loads.
And they've always just been that like dominant powerhouse where they've won and they win like every game. And so for them to lose a game is quite a big deal. It's quite a big deal, and people in the community are quite shocked. But like me and V were talking about, their team isn't the same, is it? V? It's not quite as strong as last season.
They don't have the depth as they used to, as like their bench players used to also be able to change a game. Now they have barely players on the bench, so it's a big change.
No kidding.
Right.
What is it about a club like that? What with their storied success and just year after year after year, earning that preliminary bid to UEFA and just constantly winning the league. What is it about their club that attracts such talent? Is it a recruiting thing? Is it just a status thing? What is it?
it's I won't say funny, but it's like the players they have. I think the only team in the league that actually pay some players, and that's the best.
Okay.
That's so that they're able to get the best players and pay them. It's not a lot, but that's how they be able to bring the best players. If that makes sense.
No, it makes a ton of
I have a
sense.
theory that no one actually likes Helvetia, and like that. I think everyone just plays because of the name and the title, and also because of the money.
Yeah.
And also, London's a great location. Obviously, it's a capital, so like you're obviously going to find more players in the capital. But yeah, it's nothing about the infrastructure at all that attracts. They don't have an academy. They don't have whatever. So it's just
They just
about
have a first team.
They just have the first team. So it's about that kind of the opportunity to go to Champions League. So people obviously got to go to that because that's the main goal for most futsal players in this country.
Of course, yeah, get on that bigger stage, right? That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so it's not so far off, just on a smaller scale for maybe what's going on in the big leagues in the world, where those typical top 6, top 4, whatever it is per league, that's where all the money's at.
Yeah.
So that's where you're going to get the paycheck and get the most exposure to top level futsal in this case.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, like V said, they're the only team in the league that pays. I think everyone else is pretty. Yeah,
they would probably pay like a couple players in the team, but I don't think they'll pay the whole team. If that makes sense, only like the big players they bring in. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's a fun league to follow, and for everybody that's watching, if you're watching live with us now, or if you go back and watch the VOD that we'll post once everything's uploaded, FA NFS National Futsal Series, you can find it on YouTube. We have a couple stories and links to it. Luke and I, of course, we feel like we plug this all the time, kind of shamelessly, but we have a Discord channel where we like to post stream links whenever we find games, and we try to post that up there. They post one stream for the day because they're in a central location every week, so it's easy to follow. You can throw it up. I watch with my little girl while making her breakfast, and kind of keeps her for some reason occupied at her 1-year-old attention span. But she does watch the games with me, which is fun and makes for a nice Sunday morning. So I want to talk to you guys though a little bit about your podcast. Because that's really why we're here. Is I listened to your guys' podcast, saw you on Twitter, and started following along, and then abusing Henrique in the direct messages, probably talking his ear off. But tell me how you guys came up with the idea and how it all got started.
We were on holiday in Oslo, in Norway, which was we went to visit our friend, and we were on the scooters. Have you ever seen those scooters, the electrical scooters that you just ride around? We were going through the centre of Oslo, and we were racing each other. And well, it was only a race. It was only a race.
Which I won, by the way. I won, by the way. I won.
because it was never a race when he was behind me. But anyway, and then we stopped, and we were like, oh well. Obviously, I played for Bloomsbury last season, and Vitor played for Helvetia last season, and because we're in our final year of uni and stuff, we decided we're not going to play this season, National League. So we said, well, we need to do something to keep us, involved in the community because we love it so much, so we're like, let's just do a podcast. Let's just waffle because we're friends. We're good at talking, and that's how it came about. Am I missing anything, V?
No, we just basically started planning it on the holiday and then planned it on the way back from in the airport as well, didn't we? That's what we started planning. Yeah. We had so much time at the airport, so that's where it all started.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah, you guys just have a I think one of the things that makes it so easy to listen to is you guys, and you're showing it now, just have like a good natural, I don't know. It's just a good pairing. You guys have both good personalities for it, and it's fun. But you guys are covering good topics, and I like that you cover specific topics about the sport and then the league. Yeah. So is that when you guys were playing it out, were you trying to figure out if you're going to have more of a structure to it and plan these recordings, or do you kind of wing it for the most part?
No, we have a list of themes that we have that we want to cover. So obviously last episode we did referees, Next episode, we'll do probably women's futsal in this country, which is a hot topic right now, as you know, England are bringing back the under-19s for the Euro qualifying, and then they've said they're going to bring back the women's and the men's at some point. Don't know, but anyway, So we have a topic. We have topics, and then we usually do like a little intro about any news or anything that's happened, maybe some icebreaker games, whatever, and then at the end we do our coveted team of the week and game recap, which we do generally get a lot of messages about, saying I'm gutted I'm not in the team of the week and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's quite fun.
Actually, that's something else I wanted to ask you. And then, Luke, sorry, I hope I'm not talking over you on anything you want to ask.
You're
but,
good. No.
I got to ask this. So you guys do the team of the week. You talk and some of the other things you've covered in addition to results has been like facilities and things like that. And have you ever had anybody come back to you and say, hey, but what the hell? Why are you being so honest on this podcast about us and showing some weaknesses? Does anybody ever give you any stink, or is it all in good fun and growing the sport for the better?
No, it's been pretty fun, right?
Not really. Yeah, I think some people, because we know we train with them, get onto us a little bit because are you going to put this on the podcast? Are you going to put this on the podcast? You get that kind of banter, but not really any stick or anything like that.
It's all like lighthearted, and everyone knows that we don't like. We're just giving our honest opinions, and people just enjoy the content. People, we always get messages saying how well we're doing, how good. Like I checked yesterday, our first ever episode, we hit 700 views on 700 listens on the first one, which is great.
Awesome.
I know, and that's like I don't even know 700 people. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I've never, like it's crazy, and people are just really liking it. I think I've gotten an actual phone call the other day from a coach. We did a coaches episode, and he was like, "Oh, how come I wasn't on there?" You know, I was like, "Oh, well, you know, whatever." But apart from that, it's pretty like lighthearted. People just like listen to it apparently, which I don't know why. I would not like to hear Vitor's voice, so. Especially like that, especially when it sounds.
It sounds like it popped out again.
Yeah. Do you want to try and reconnect your thing? There you go. But Jake, I have a question for you that I've been wanting to ask. It's for Jake and for Luke, and it's a burning question that me and Vitor have been thinking about. And the question is, who is your favorite futsal team? And if you have a favorite player, let us know as well. In which leagues?
I'll start because Luke already knows the answer to this. So my favorite, you said futsal team or football team?
Futsal team.
Futsal. San Lorenzo in Argentina.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a massive,
he couldn't get it out fast enough.
I'm a massive sellout for San Lorenzo. I can't help it. So
but why? Why? That's so random and rogue.
It is.
Yeah.
So again, the reason I'm doing this and not more involved in futsal directly is I have almost no experience in futsal. I didn't really get introduced to it until about 10 years ago. And there's, by then it was too late for me to really get involved in any leagues or anything. But I did, through pickup games, learning futsal, met one of my now closest friends. And he is originally from Boedo in Buenos Aires, Argentina, which is where San Lorenzo is from. So he got me introduced to San Lorenzo's outdoor team. And so I was following them. I was fortunate enough to go on a trip with him back home and got to see the stadium and all that. And then in 2019, my local futsal local celebrity, Otto Orff, who is assistant coach on the men's national team and has a ton of playing experience, he started a semi-pro team called the Akron Vulcans. And he actually had a relationship with San Lorenzo's futsal club. And we brought up some of their younger players for more play time here. So it just kind of solidified. So I followed those players that were on our team. Some of them are still active in Argentina. And then I follow San Lorenzo just because of my friend, really. And then that just reinforced it for me.
Brilliant. Love that.
Sounds good.
So
How about
I guess it's my turn. My kind of journey with futsal started with we call it soccer, you guys call it football. With the Portland Timbers. when they went up to MLS. So I'm from the area. I'm from the Portland area, so they were kind of like a big draw for me. I went to games back when you could literally just walk in the stadium and sit down in the actual 107. If you guys are familiar, it's like just this tiny section, and it was fun. The fan culture kind of got me hooked into that kind of the culture and the sport. And futsal kind of came along much later. I started playing in my 30s again. It's just like with men's league and stuff like that. I took a big long break. But I got back into it, and this place, I think Rose City Futsal started in Portland, Oregon. And so I was like, what is this futsal thing? And it just really was intriguing to me. And I went to the facility, and I'm like, this is crazy. This is cool. I love it. And so I just started playing in my local town here in Idaho, and I just kind of got into it from there. I started a facility here in Idaho. It failed. We won't talk about that. It's just hard, like you're out here with no one understanding. But all that to say, I don't have really a futsal story to connect me to any team, except for Grand Rapids Olay, which was I think I hold a special place for them. Can you hear me okay or no?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well.
I'll keep talking. Just
I can hear you.
never mind the pause video. So, so I stumbled upon a Grand Rapids Olay stream, and it was pretty bad. Like things were pretty choppy, and I was like, "Hey, you guys need some help with streaming?" Like, watch this. Like, I say I can help them out, and look at my video. It's like terrible. But anyways, I offered to help them out. I've done video my whole life, and so I offered to help them out, and they took me up on it right away. And I met Juan, and I met Jake, and I kind of got into the NFPL scene. So I think Grand Rapids Olay holds a special place in my heart. Same with like the Timbers. Like I really like supporting local. Like a lot of people here in the States will be, why don't you watch EPL? And I was like, well, they're great and they're fine, but at the same time, I like supporting local soccer, local stuff. So seeing a team like Grand Rapids Olay to me is great because it's promoting the sport here. They're showcasing kind of what futsal can be in the States.
Yeah.
So that kind of to me is a big thing. As far as futsal players, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I like watching everything. Like I like watching San Lorenzo. I like watching Boca. I like watching Peñarol. Like all these teams we watched in the Copa Libertadores. Like that was really cool. Watching English futsal. I've been watching your guys' league. Coming up to this. Watching London Helvetia. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
And watching like
Me,
Bloomsbury and like the Manchester game where they beat Helvetia, like that was great. Like all this stuff has just been, I just love taking it all in. I'm just kind of like I don't know. I'm a fan of it all.
That's fantastic.
Probably a good thing we stuck Grand Rapids Olay in there. We would have got some stink because we've been working with those guys, and that's how, like Luke said, that's how we met each other is in a chat in a live stream on 11
Right.
Sports, and then Luke has a ton of experience in this and was able to bring a lot of value. And I was already in the chat, and they asked if I'd be a moderator for their Twitch chat when they migrated over to Twitch. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm already here. That's easy. Like,
yeah.
That's
great.
Yeah, we've been, so just to give you guys like a little bit of geography on that is, Grand Rapids is about 4.5 hours north of where I am of a drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up there twice last season to catch a couple games, and the first time was just kind of see what they were all about up there since I didn't have anything close, and then hit it off with those guys, and then went up the second time for the championship match that they won, and made sure I got a hotel that night because I knew if they won it'd be a long night. So it was good. It was good, and I think you guys kind of feel the same way. I can tell by the way you guys do your podcast is like, just very passionate about the sport.
Yeah,
and it's infectious, and I think we need people like that. But more importantly, I think I like your guys' honesty too. I think part of our problem here in the States is for a while we had a lot of people talking about it, but they were all cheerleaders. They weren't addressing the issues. They just wanted to talk about how great the sport was. And we need that to a degree. We don't want to air our dirty laundry to everyone, but we need to also address where our weaknesses are and make the sport better. And I think you guys do a good job of that without being insulting or pushy, but just say, hey, look, here's where there's some shortfalls. Here's where things can get better. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys being brave about sharing your comments on, some place where you can't take it back, and,
Yeah.
put it out there is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put it like that, it's kind of daunting, isn't it? But no, but listen, it's not just all one take. We do say some outrageous things. We have to cut it out and stuff.
And
But
we edit out, sometimes.
yeah, edit it out, and it's just like
We can't do that today.
And the great thing about English people is that we don't care. Like we will happily say it how it is. Like we will. Like people don't like we're like big moaners, right? We moan about the weather. We moan about whatever. That's great. But we also like our community is very tight knit. Everyone knows each other. We're all trying to promote the game. We're all trying to have the best version of the game. Obviously, I feel like with the US, it's because it's so big and there's so many states, and it must be so hard to get like a whole national league, and so obviously it's because like soccer, it's not as big as it is there. So it's like, if that's not big enough, imagine futsal. So it's like, it's just about patience and time and having those what's it called, like hard conversations with people and to change the sport, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think so for us, and it sounds like it's kind of the same for you guys, is we just wanted to get the word out. I think a lot of people don't even know about it, and even more people don't know where to go to consume the content of the sport. So it was important to me. I'm just some random dude in a basement, but I mean, it was important to me to get it out there and get some more content flowing. It's no different than, I mean, you can type, just an example, you can type Minecraft into anything, and like you cannot go through all the possible content that there is for it.
Yeah.
But on futsal, like you Google futsal or you YouTube futsal news or notes, or you're starting to get some game highlights now, especially with the World Cup being so recently, but there's not a lot there. There's a couple of highlight videos channels, and that's really about it. And it's so easy to get found these days with so many platforms to have a voice or to share your craft. I think we're kind of missing the mark right now and not riding the wave.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I think we had a similar problem where before, obviously, everything was being streamed, and people were saying, yeah, we do need that, just like you said. We need to get the futsal out there in England, but is the product ready yet? Is the futsal ready, right? So does it look good? Like, does the court look nice? Are the players good enough? How is the futsal looking? And it reached a certain stage, like a season, 2 seasons ago, where it was slightly ready and there was some sort of investment coming in, and then we were ready to put it in. But like, I totally agree with you. I think just the word needs to go out, and I think Vitor can agree with me with this. Before any of this started, futsal in this country was seen as a tool for football. People saw futsal in this country as a development tool for young football players. That is how he got into the game. That is how I got into the game. That is how almost everyone in this country gets into the game. Now we're struggling with the identity of like, okay, is it just a donor sport for football, or is it like its own sport in itself? And that's where it becomes a bit of like a grey area. Did I miss anything there, V? I think that made sense, didn't it?
No. One question I had for you guys: do you guys have like university leagues or like college leagues for futsal?
So we just this year saw our first college create an official futsal program, Westcliff University, which is out in Southern California. They're actually Ivan Todorovic out there. He was the assistant coach for the outdoor team. I don't know if he still is or not, but he went to their athletic department and said, hey, there's a sport called futsal. I think that we could put a team together. So he has a team. Right now they're in their off season. They're doing friendlies. So they have a men's team already developed, and they're going to start a women's futsal program next year. But the problem he's having is he's the first one to the table. So he's not only trying to create a program at his own university, but he's also trying to sell it to all the other universities in the area. So he's got a lot of work on his plate, but they've talked to a lot of universities that have shown interest. It's not sanctioned by our universities, at overarching athletic governing body, but the hope is, hey, let's put the product out there, prove it to them, and then maybe if futsal can become an Olympic sport, the colleges will take it and universities will take it more seriously and bump it up.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
I feel
'cause-
like in this country, every sport
Come.
is a sport, right? V, like every sport is a buck sport, basically.
yeah, basically, yeah. I
So
think
like in our
all sports.
country,
And I think a
every
large.
sport is a university sport. Sorry, bro. Keep going.
Yeah, sorry. So I think a large pool of like players get into the sport through university as well, and then I think if you guys get it through university systems, you get a lot of players coming through to getting to know the game there. And I think we introduce, like in our university futsal team, we introduce futsal to a lot of players, and they pursue that route of playing. You get like Loughborough here in England, they bring probably a lot of players to the futsal route, and they only focus on the futsal route. They don't, and they tend to focus on that. Not just some of them play futsal and football, but it's a good way just to get them just to play futsal as well.
And I think Hartpury as well, right? Aren't they
Yep.
university based as well?
Yep, Hartpury just in university. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm loving it. So like, we play for Hertfordshire. We go to Hertfordshire Uni and we play, and we're both scholarship students. So like they offered us a scholarship to play, and we're very lucky to play and get some money from futsal. So that's great. But like, what I can't kind of grasp my head around is how because in America, I'm assuming there's loads of different sports, right? That are in the university, the NCAA leagues, right? And
Yes.
I was in one of them, but then you'll probably get like, I don't know, like lacrosse or something, or like whatever. Which
Yes.
is like
Yep.
crazy. I can't understand it.
Yeah, there's even like field hockey even
Yeah.
has its own, like some of the it's frustrating over here.
But
But,
why do you think that? Why do you think that is? Is it purely because there's actually like no like recognition of the sport?
I think with university, I think there has been a little bit of this kind of condescension from the soccer community, because the soccer community here in the pro are kind of viewing college soccer as kind of a lesser form of soccer. It's been talked a lot about in kind of the MLS realm. Is, they have this draft thing. I think a lot of this modeling after Major League Baseball, NFL, all this draft stuff, they've tried to implement that with Major League Soccer. I just think in order for the American public to kind of understand what's going on, they went this kind of route of, in the very beginning, of modeling after like sports in the US that were already known.
Yeah.
And I think lately people have kind of seen this as, well, this is the way Europe does it. Europe obviously is better. They don't do colleges. And so colleges had this like kind of soured look about it. But I do agree with you that, this, and, Jake and I have talked a lot about, this university level being introduced for futsal. And I think it's a great stepping stone. And like you said, it's a great way to introduce people. I think it's just that kind of that stigma attached with college ball is hard. But kind of segueing out of that, I had a question for you guys. This is something that kind of is my opinion, and kind of like a deduction from what I see is, I've talked to Jake a lot about this, is that, you've talked about how through football you got introduced to futsal, and that's kind of your route. So do you feel like there's a lot of players that are coming up in the futsal ranks in England that are maybe like, hey, football didn't really work out, let's go try the waters over at futsal? And I know Jake kind of like grins, or like kind of like doesn't like that kind of idea, but to me, that's a marketing route in the US. Like, hey, you didn't quite cut it on for soccer. You come over here and try your luck at futsal.
100%. V, I'm just scared about your audio. Do you want to just try? Yeah. Just change it.
I broke up again.
I'll start off the convo. Yeah. So, for example, I started out football, but like my football was like playground football. I used to play in my primary school, elementary school, and then never played football. Like I never played an 11-side game in my life. I've never played an 11-side game in my life. So I grew up purely with futsal. That's it. I don't even want to play 11-a-side. I've never wanted to. because I just love the sport so much. But then we have players that in England that have played 11-a-side, hasn't worked out for them, and then have gone to Spain and played professionally. So off the top of my head, I have 3 names. I have Ryan and Jack Walsh, who played for Bloomsbury, so the goalkeeper and Ryan, an outfield player, who they played football when they were younger, transitioned later on in their lives to futsal, and have gone and played at a good level in Spain, which is fantastic. And then so you are seeing more and more players now, kind of like letting go of football and going on to futsal. Another player, I mean, I saw something on Twitter the other day by East Riding Futsal Club, who I believe they're a tier 2 side or tier 3 side, about this little boy who scored an absolute wonder goal, and then the retweet was that he is wanted by a lot of academies in football, professional football academies, but he doesn't want to play. He wants to play futsal only, which is amazing, and you don't see that often. But so yeah, that's my answer to you. I don't know, Via. I think you can bring a bit more perspective because you actually played football. So
Wait, first of all, how's my audio sounding now?
sounds
Better?
You sound beautiful, mate.
Sounds good.
Thank you. So I think I had a bit of 2 different careers. I played outfield and then in goal. And playing football in goal, I think as a goalkeeper, I had a couple trials. I had trials at Millwall or AFC Wimbledon and other teams, and they kept saying I'm too small. So as too small to play in goal. So that's when I started going down the route of futsal, because your height didn't really matter, and you can be more technical, and it matters what you do, and it doesn't really matter about how tall you are. So that's why I got into that route. And I think there's also a lot of players that I want to talk about as well, because you have some players that can be in an outfield position as well. I think that a player called Liam Pound-Freeman, I think he's currently playing for Helvetia. He's a very small player, and he got told the same thing. He's too small to play 11-a-side. Now he plays just futsal, and he even went to play professional as well, I think in Italy and some other countries. So it can be a pathway for these type of players who not the most physical, more technical players, can be a pathway for that. But you can also get players like I think the most famous player here in England is Max Kilman, who plays for Wolves, and he played futsal like growing up. He played in my team. He played in other teams. Now he's playing in the Premier League, and he's a centre back who's like, I don't know, 6'3", big centre back who's got really good feet. So it can work both ways. But I think most of the time it's football players kind of go down the route to, I didn't really make it here, I'm going to go down the futsal route and take on that sport here in England. But I think we should try and change it to get players to, like Henrique, to start at an early age, like at 10 or 11, even earlier, so we can get actual proper futsal players.
I 100% agree with that. I think, and I've talked with Jake knows this is we differ here, but I feel like, it's just the cart and horse type thing, like what do you do? And I do agree with you that we should get that groundswell to where like we're raising young players up as futsal players. I do agree with that, but at the same time, I want to build futsal to where it's at a good state where we can do that. That's just my opinion. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, so there's something to be said for. So yeah, I'm a bit of a. Luke's right. I'm a bit of a purist. I'd like to see, if we got the opportunity to get because actually this conversation came up when we were talking about our women's game on our side, because there's a job posting for a women's United States national team futsal position, and so we got excited that there'd be a women's national team here, and the question was, there's so many talented women in the outdoor game here. Do we give them that opportunity to get on the stage that they might not get, behind a Rapinoe or an Alex Morgan, to get international experience on the futsal side? And it's already kind of happening here with the men's team, because you've got a lot of arena soccer here. I don't know if you guys have that in England or not, but it's played on turf.
We're aware of what it is, though. We have heard about it.
Okay, all right, yeah. So it's kind of a big thing here, and a lot of our players on the national team right now are arena soccer players, because that's where our talent comes from. Our talent pool comes from. So I'm a futsal guy. I think that the talent can be there. But yes, we need to do something in the meantime to get people's attention. And MLS kind of took a similar route to what Luke's thinking. I mean, we were called a retirement league for a long time, but it was because we didn't have any household names here. We had to bring somebody big to. We needed the Beckhams, the Rooneys, the Zlatans to come here and help us grow the sport. But now we're seeing the wave go the opposite direction in MLS, where we're seeing more youngsters out of academies start to head overseas. Matt Turner at Arsenal, Zach Steffen at Middlesbrough right now. Like those guys started in MLS and made their way over to the big leagues. So it's exciting. So the model could work. So much of sports in the United States it's a very capitalist environment in sports here, and you got to do what's going to sell tickets if you're going to survive, in this country. So, but definitely got to figure out a way to make that work here so we can get the word out to more people.
Yeah. No, I mean that sounds it sounds what I thought you guys would say. Like obviously, like sports in America is so big and there's so much money there, and it's like wow, like I can't even comprehend. Like I see some of the facilities that universities have there, and I'm sat there like, what the hell? Like, I don't even have my own locker in my own university, and we're so it's crazy that you guys both have different opinions. I like that as well. I like that. I think it's very much of what people think over here as well. Like some people are purists, and some people want that development of football and futsal. So it's like no one's really right, no one's really wrong. It's you can still do both things. The one thing I am looking forward to talking about as next pod, and hopefully with you guys as well, is about the whole women's game, because I feel like that's the next step, right? I feel like that's we've kind of set the ground a little bit for the men's now. Now it's kind of time to move on to the women's, because I think we're missing half the population there. So
100%.
Bro, your audio going, mate.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
There it is.
There's a campaign for it, for I think 6 or 7 teams or something did a campaign to get the Women's World Cup going, and they've been posting that all around. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah,
I actually just did a video on it, and I haven't been canceled yet, so that's good. I think I'm too small for that, but I really liked what was covered, and I think the Guardian did an article on it as well, right? And shared the videos, which is where I saw it. And there was some pretty strong accusations in there against FIFA, which is interesting. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. But I was talking about on Twitter with a guy named Steve Harris, who covers a lot of futsal out of Asia, and Steve and I kind of had a similar mindset on it. We don't think that's the whole problem. Is a sexism thing, but it's certainly a component. I don't think there'd be a Netflix documentary about FIFA going on right now if there wasn't some problems. But I think part of it too, though, is, and I think you guys actually kind of alluded to this a little bit when the things were going on with BT and Discovery. Like, we don't do a great job as a community of taking advantage of getting the word out sometimes. Like, I think you guys mentioned on your pod that one of their concerns was, well, you guys really don't push our name or our broadcast out on social media or anything. I think that's part of the problem too, is we're just not pushing it out there. I mean, Spain versus Portugal for the Women's Euro had almost 5,000 people there. That's a huge crowd for futsal. That's for me a massive win. But who knew about it? Like, as far as getting it out there and getting it broadcasted, we just don't push it well enough, I don't think, sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you can't blame it all on FIFA, because they're not the ones playing the game, and they're not the ones they're not micromanaging anything. But at the end of the day, like I love watching women's futsal. I like it watching it more than women's football. I feel like women's futsal is so fast paced. There's so many good technical 1v1 players, and I really enjoy the whole experience. So I think there's definitely a market there, just as there is a market for men's futsal. It's just about, like you just said, Jake, a mixture of obviously the governing body, because they're the ones that provide funds and provide whatever, and also there's the clubs and the people need to pull their weight as well, 100%.
Let me ask you guys this. I'd like to hear from both of you guys on this, and Luke actually. Whose responsibility is it to grow the game? Should it fall at the top and cascade down? Should FIFA be investing in futsal and pushing this on the regions and the FAs? Or do the leagues in these nations and the FAs need to build it up and prove to FIFA that there's a platform that is required to show the top talent in the world?
Tough. V, do you want to go first? I feel like you got this one, mate.
Can you just repeat the question? Sorry, is my audio okay? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your audio.
Good. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question because it kept cutting out for me?
Oh, yeah. So my question
Yeah.
is, whose responsibility is it to grow the game of futsal? Does it need to be FIFA cascading down through the FAs, or should it start with the FAs and with leagues and build up to prove to FIFA that there needs to be a larger platform for the sport?
For me, I think it has to be the governing body for me. But I think what's happening right now is the leagues are doing it. Does that make sense? That's the National Futsal Series is trying to build it up and then presenting it to the FA and trying to get it through the FA and to the FA. But I think it should be through the FIFA, or in our case in England, the FA should be able to slowly build it up. That's what I think.
Yeah. Interesting, bro. I mean, I'm going to disagree with V here. I think,
as always.
As always, yeah. I think it should be mostly the. I'm going to go for the leagues and the clubs here. I think the clubs, like for example, they're not going to FIFA not going to invest more money into something. The FA is not going to invest. That's not giving it back. Okay, so obviously like the FA, sorry, the futsal league is not generating, and clubs are not generating money. Enough money to give back and to whatever. So they have to build their own fan base. They have to build their own, their own sponsorships, everything like that, and then present a product out to the FA, to FIFA, where it's undeniably they have to put more money on it. Now the thing that I agree with Vitor, and I agree needs to happen is now coach education. Coach education is the biggest thing that they need to provide, because without good coaches, you're not going to get better players, and without better players, you're not going to get better product. So that's one thing. And another thing that I think they should help with, not completely do themselves, is courts as well. Courts is another major factor. You don't want to be looking at a court that has 50,000 lines on it, and you don't want to be looking at a court where someone gets pushed on the side and gets a concussion, and because the walls are so close to each other. So I think that they could like do some sort of thing like that, but I think mostly it has to be down to the clubs and the league.
That's my thoughts on it too. So I think that at a local level we have to prove that we're interested, and it kind of goes back to what makes sports. I probably because I'm here and this is how it is in America, but it's a marketing opportunity to get the money to fund it. So why would? And this is where I got a little nervous about posting the video about it, because I was kind of honest about it. Is the reason I don't think that it's purely a sexism issue on the women's side with FIFA is I don't think that there is enough return on investment for companies to invest in marketing to get their money back and really blow this thing up and fund it. And I think that falls on us as local consumers of the game and to the local clubs to really promote the sport and grow a following. FIFA back in the 80s pushed out the existing futsal governing body to take over. And I feel like since then, they've really not done much. But UEFA seems to be very invested in futsal. And actually, one of the exciting things for us here, I don't know how many people know this, but Coach Dushan, who's our head coach for the men's national team, he is the only person that I'm aware of. So at the time that I was told this, he was the only person outside of UEFA that has a UEFA B coaching license in futsal. So he was able to bring a lot more experience and be able to talk a lot more intelligently to the game than say our local coaches could, because he's bringing that European experience and talent over and then sharing it and cascading down from the FA into the local clubs. In fact, starting this week, he's taking a group of youngsters to Portugal to start building the next generation of men's national futsal team players. So, but I think that the funding is the biggest issue, and it's that chicken before the egg conversation of you can't get it out to people without spending money to get it out to people, but you can't make the money until people start consuming the product and buying the merchandise and watching the commercials.
That's it, 100%. I totally agree. Yeah.
Luke, it looks like you jumped back. Do you have?
Sorry. For a hot second. Sorry. As far as the women's game goes, to me, kind of, I see U.S. soccer, especially in our country, I see U.S. soccer as holding a lot of the cards. And I see a lot of the I got involved in youth soccer and I saw just a little glimpse and under the hood of development and through the young ranks. And I see a lot of what goes on. And I mean, probably England experiences some of the same corruption and kind of just the backroom stuff and all the craziness that goes on with all this development process. But at the same time, I feel like U.S. soccer has enough pull, enough capital to at least stilt something up as far as a game goes in a league to say, hey, we want to promote this, so we're gonna funnel some money into this to kind of artificially, launch it off the ground. Because I think in some cases that's just what a few of these younger leagues need, is just a little bit of push. And people like Jake and you guys over in England and just fans to get behind it and push it and light the fire to because it is that thing where it needs to look good, and it needs to have some viewing audience behind it. It's just a question of that initial push, I think, to get things going. And just a side note to the women, back before, earlier in the conversation, we talked about pulling football players into the futsal scene. It has been said that the U.S. women could field 2 national teams and take first and second in the World Cup. I mean, that's the amount of talent I've heard that the U.S. has for women. So to me, I'm like, if there's enough talent out there to field 2 World Cup teams, can we yank some of those players over into futsal? I've talked with Jake about this. He doesn't like it, but I still am like, we have the talent here. We have a lot of girls interested in playing futsal. I think we just need to get them over there and have a platform for them to play on.
Well, and the women's game globally in football is really exploding too. I mean, from an American's perspective of watching the U.S. women's team recently, the countries have caught up. We don't just walk away with every game like we used to. And so you gotta think that organically that will also spill over into the futsal side, because the women's game, so what you said, Henrique, about women's futsal, I feel the same way about outdoor. Is I find the women's team way more entertaining than the men's team. I actually think they're more physical. I think it's just a lot more fun to watch.
They also win.
Well, and that helps, but that's everybody likes to cheer for a winning team, right? But but I want to ask you guys something else and switch gears a little bit. So I want to this is something that Luke and I do probably to an unhealthy degree, but I'm going to ask you anyway, and maybe you guys can expand on this on a podcast down the road or something with your audience. But if you could fantasy book the FA NFS from a front office perspective, what changes would you make to the league to try and make it better?
So do you want to just explain fantasy book? I'm not really.
Yeah. So let's imagine the world where you guys are in charge of NFS.
Oh, okay.
What would you do? How would you make changes? What would you change about it to try and bring more people to the sport?
That's a great.
Considering you had all the funding, how would you?
So unlimited funding.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, to an extent.
Okay.
Yeah. If you had to make realistic changes, if you were in charge and could, put your stamp of approval on a memo, what would it be?
I think first thing first, I just want to the whole English futsal just change the way that we do coach education. I think I'm very passionate about that. I feel like I think you have to start somewhere to make better players, and you can't create better players without creating better coaches. I think also futsal specific courts around the country, and just promotion, just promote, push on social media, those, starting futsal and all of that stuff. How about you, V? What would you change?
I think I would try introduce futsal into schools. as you know, you in school or physical education, you try out loads of different schools. I try and get into that curriculum where kids in high school, primary school, or try and get it there, because I know in countries like Brazil, Portugal, or all the South American countries, they start playing futsal and only futsal until they're about 11 years old. That's why they produce so many futsal players or produce such more technical players. I think that's one of the reasons why. So if you can start playing futsal into schools, especially with the bad weather here in England as well, like if it's raining one day in PE, just instead of try and do a football session. But also that means that PE teachers would have to get educated on futsal as well. So that's another department to look for.
It's just like I was going to ask you this later as well, because like the way you guys speak about futsal is very different to how people speak about it here. People speak about it here, like I said before, as a tool to develop football players. It's how most futsal academies make their money here.
Yeah.
And it's how predominantly people see it for their child. They don't see it as like to get, whatever, because there's loads of examples of professional football players now, the younger ones that have played futsal in the past, and people see that and people want to recreate that. Kind of changing that stigma as well about futsal, and like kind of making it its own sport outright, and trying to push that as far as possible is interesting. But I like the way you guys speak about it as like it's a sport in its own right, and you haven't alluded to like that like that how futsal is a donor sport to football. I wanted to ask you guys about that. How have you never heard about that before? Or like, is it something that's not really talked about?
It is. I think so. I think our struggle from a developmental perspective is a fear of the unknown from existing soccer coaches, at least in my area. So I've actually been fortunate enough. I've gotten to go with Otto when he's done some kind of sales pitches to our local amateur soccer associations. So these are kids, just to kind of give you guys a perspective on that, is it's a city ran organization, not like an academy or someone tied to a club. So a lot of these individual municipalities have their own amateur soccer associations, put teams together, and then they kind of fall into a city league of suburbs around a city. And then there's travel on top of that. And there's all these extra levels and just a lot of extra fat that doesn't need to be there, because every parent wants whatever is the highest level for their child. There's been a lot of development of more teams that are more the same, just worded differently as a premier team. But a lot of those coaches don't yet see the value in futsal. And so we get a lot of pushback that they're afraid that futsal will develop bad habits in the outdoor game. They don't, but they're also not as educated on it as well, I don't believe. I think that they don't realize how it improves decision-making, how it improves pace, how it gets them more touches on the ball. And for some reason, the outdoor coaches here are just very resistant to futsal, and we're starting to see a shift. I'm very proud to say my hometown here is starting to include futsal in their curriculum, and some of the other suburbs in the area are starting to do the same. But for a long, long time, and Luke, you could probably say the same thing. I know from your time building up your academy that you were working on, you had a lot of the same pushback, right? It was just a fear of the unknown. And
I mean, I have anecdotes for all of that, it is interesting. And it is that club kind of, power hungry mentality here in the States, at least from what I experienced. My story might be different from some, but I feel like it's probably similar, which is, I started out here. I mean, we live in a town of like 100,000. It's a small town in Idaho. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. I started up a futsal facility, and it was for the community. It was purely based for kids. It was purely based as like a place it was just for everybody. And that was my mentality from the very get-go, was like, hey, come in, play, have fun, learn. And I started doing things, and I started kind of like just inviting teams. I would just call up the clubs. I would say, hey, I have a facility, come play futsal. It's here for you. That's why I've built it. And I think the sentiment I got was, here comes someone encroaching on our territory, because, and I think in the the second or third year I was doing it, I created a tournament, a futsal tournament. I created like awards, I had the little medals the kids like to get and all that. And I created all of this. I went to my local university. I said, hey, I want to use your facility. And they said, yeah, go ahead. So we're in Nampa, and Boise, just kind of give you geography, is 20 minutes down the road. Biggest town in Idaho. It's the capital of Idaho. So it's like the main place. And that's where the Boise Timbers Thorns play. I'll outright throw them under the bus publicly. So don't worry about it. So they're the largest club. They're the largest club in Idaho, the largest soccer club in Idaho. They have the most money. Their DOC gets $80,000 a year. Like they're, which I think is crazy. But so I create this tournament, and 2-3 weeks before it's supposed to go off, a couple of guys were like, hey, Luke, where do I sign up? There's like 2 places. I'm like, what are you talking about? So this club came over to Nampa. They've never done anything in Nampa before, where I live down the road. They've never been out here. They created a futsal tournament in the same facility I was in a week before mine. And like, is it basically like, to you. And I was like, and that's where I was like, I'm done. I'm one person trying to create something for the community. And I have the biggest soccer club in Idaho trying to shut me down. And I'm just like, all right, I don't want this drama. This wasn't what it was about. This is totally not why I got into this. So that kind of mentality, I feel like, is, what I referred to earlier, is this kind of wrong mentality about development. It's very much about, come to my club, play with my club. You have to be here, trying to grab kids, and like, it's a mess. It's a total mess. So like, I very gladly stepped away, and now I do like stuff with Jake.
That sounds mind blowing. That's like, what?
Yeah. What's crazy about that, Henrique, is for us, it's really normal, which is sad. But there are so many clubs, especially outdoor clubs, that everything is territorial to them. Everybody's out to steal their kids. Everybody's out to put them out of business. There's just such a paranoia that, and I'm sure there's there is some validity to that to an extent. I think we just have some of the wrong people in our local clubs running things with a bad mentality. But the futsal clubs that are successful here are the ones that are we call it club neutral. And what we do is, so the academy I coach with, we only do futsal. So we get to borrow the kids for the winter. We send them back out to their clubs for the spring and fall. And it's a lot less
political.
Yeah. It's just like, it's not so intimidating to these clubs that, hey, we're trying to grab your kids for good and you're not going to get them back. But we kind of depend on individuals to spread the word, because these clubs are fearful. They'd rather have them play arena soccer. And the thing that drives me nuts, I'll try not to go on too big of a rant on this, but this is hitting a nerve for me. But the arena soccer with the walls and the turf, like, and coaches saying, I don't want my kids to learn bad habits. Like, when is there a wall outside to kick off of? When? Explain that to me. Like, how is that more relatable than futsal? It's not. It just makes my head explode every time.
No, I can totally relate to that. We have this thing called five-a-side here. We call it five-a-side. It's literally the same thing. And it's like, the ball can't go over your head. Keepers are not allowed outside the box. And it's like, you can, whatever. And it's basically like off the walls and stuff like that. And for a long time, that was like the small-sided version of the game. Obviously, it's changed now a bit to futsal. But like generations always played this. And like, that's how it should be. This is how it's always going to be. I think people now because of like how football is they're more savvy to like futsal, because obviously it's going to develop a player much more than arena soccer, obviously. But that's just like, any person can see that, and any person can understand that, obviously with a brain. So, but it's just so interesting to hear that from you, that actually that happens in another country as well. Because I thought it was only here where like people are like, so they don't want to change the culture that's already been set, even though it's going to help their kids even more than this. It's just weird, isn't it? This is how funny it is.
When we actually get some time to sit down and talk to kids and parents, and I got to see it firsthand on Friday. We had a group of 5 come yesterday and check us out, and they're going to join our league, but they've never played futsal before. And Coach Otto spent good 30 minutes with him explaining the game and the rules, real careful with them, took his time. And those young girls, I think they were maybe 8 years old. And I mean, one of them had played futsal before of the 5. And they went out and beat a group of our kids. So we just grabbed a random hodgepodge of 5 kids and they were beating them for the first half of the scrimmage. I mean, they picked it up right that. They were right away stepping on the ball. They were right away rolling it. I mean, instant improvement. And I think we just need to find a way to show that and probably we could probably use some testimonials too and say, hey, here's like Christian Pulisic is a good example. There's someone in the American program that's on the national team that played futsal and publicly has said on numerous occasions it helped me. It made me who I am. We just need a little bit more of that. And I feel like you guys are maybe several years ahead of us. Like that's why I like watching your guys' league is what I see from you guys is kind of what I picture in 5 to 7 years here.
Yeah.
I'm sure it took longer than that to build it up, but if we get smart and kind of steal some best practices, I think we could get there in that time period.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Jake, thank you so much for your time. I'm just wary of leaving for a little date with Grandma tonight.
Hey, all right,
yeah.
No, yeah, we're right up on time anyway. So why don't you guys share the Twitter handle so people can follow you here once.
V.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal your line.
Please, you know the Twitter handle. Go on.
He asked me at the end of every single podcast, and I think I get it wrong every time. But it's that's a good start, at the FUTSALSA Pod.
There it is. At the FUTSALSA Pod. I got a link to the Spotify page in the chat.
Oh,
I will go back and edit the description of this once we post the VOD and put it in there as well. You guys can follow me. I retweet these guys all the time because they're a ton of fun to watch and listen to. Guys, thank you so much for making time, especially on a Saturday when you could be hanging out at uni and having a couple pops. So I really appreciate it. And we'll have to do this again. Maybe we'll do something at the end of the season and see how things went for you guys and rejoin and reconnect one last time.
100%. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Of course. All right, guys.
Thank you,
the rest of you. Make sure you follow the channel and follow us on Discord as well if you want to see more links to content like this. And then you can follow me at Futsal Jake, and you can follow Luke at Luke Duke. That's LEWK.
I need a better handle.
WK. It's fine. It's perfect. I love it. Never change. But until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and we will do another one next month.